This week, we'll be making an interactive door card that opens up to reveal a bunch of cute characters. The main thing that I'll be using for this project is the One with the Friend stamp set by Kindred stamps, as well as a silhouette and Pix Scan Sheet. For more information on what I'm using, check out the description below. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take all 6 of my characters and the cat and cut them out using my Pix Scan Sheet. For information on how to use it, check out the description below. It'll have a link to my first video. Next, I'm going to use Tombow Markers to color in each of my characters. The next step is to take a thick sheet of white cardstock, and I'm going to cut it to be 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches. Now that I got my sheet, I'm going to take my scoreboard and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2 inches. Then I'm going to fold it towards the bump, and then we have our card base. For this next part, I'm going to be using the Pix Scan and the silhouette. I'm going to take the rectangle tool and make a rectangle, it doesn't matter what size. Then I'm going to use the pointer tool, select it, and go to the transform slide. Then I'm going to change the width to be 11 inches and the height to be 4 1/4, just like the actual card that we're using. So this rectangle will be a reference for us to line up with our actual card later. Now I'm just going to make a second rectangle. I'm going to make this rectangle have the width of 5.5 inches, and then I'm going to make the height 4 1/4. This rectangle is also a reference point because it is the exact same dimensions as the front of our card when it is folded, so it's exactly half of the bigger rectangle. Then I'm going to use my rectangle tool again, and I'm going to make another rectangle. This one will have the dimensions of 2.51 for the width, and then the height is going to be 3. I measured this out so that the character would fit inside. You can change this to whatever you want it to be. Now I'm going to drag my little rectangle inside my big rectangle. The little rectangle would turn out to be the door, and I want that to be 1/4 inch off of the bottom of the card. So each of those little squares is 1/4 inch, so I'm just going to position it how I like it. I'm going to click my little one, shift, and then click my big one, go up to the top, hit object. I'm going to align it to the center so that it's all centered and neat. Next, I'm going to make the people using the elliptical tool. I'm going to hold shift as I create the elliptical so that it'll be a perfect circle and not an oval. Of course, this step is completely optional. You can put the people wherever you'd like. I'm just going to put it somewhere around where my character's eyes will be, and then I'm going to go ahead and center it. At this point, go ahead and save that half card with the door and people because we'll be using that later. Right now, I'm going to take that eraser tool and I'm going to set it on outline, not solid. Make sure it's set on outline because there's quite a big difference between the two. Then I'm going to take my little eraser bubble, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to clip off just the corner of the leftmost corners, both of them, the upper one and the bottom one. And then I'm going to take my eraser and I'm just going to erase the whole line all the way down. For the next part, I want to group them all together, so I'm going to do the shift click thing again. Now that they're all grouped together, I'm going to take my rectangle and I'm just going to align it with the right half of the big rectangle that we made earlier. Now I want to ungroup them by pressing Shift Command G so they're all separate and we can move them separately. So I'm going to take the larger rectangle, not the huge big one, but I'm just going to delete it. So now we just have the large rectangle and the people and the door. group all three pieces together and then go ahead and copy them. Next, I'm going to take my card and I'm going to open it up, and then I'm going to burnish it very well onto my Pix Scan Sheet. Then take a piece of dark green paper and go ahead and burnish it down as well. I cut it down so that I can get them both on the sheet at the same time. Now I've got my photo uploaded to my Pix Scan, and I'm going to go ahead and begin the next part. So what we're going to do is I'm going to paste the door frame template that I showed earlier, and then I'm just going to drag it around until it aligns with my white card base. Now I'm going to go over to where I saved the door. I have deleted the rectangle from around it, but I still have it saved. So I still have the one with the rectangle around it saved. I'm going to group them together and copy them, and then I'm going to paste them onto my Pix Scan Sheet. Then I'm going to just drag it onto the green, position it where I want it to cut out, and then we're good to go. I'm going to head over to my send screen, and then I'm going to make sure that my material is selected as cover stock because it goes over it twice, and I really like that cut because then it makes sure that it's cut all the way. Then I'm just going to use my tools to remove the pieces from the Pix Scan Sheet. So remember that part earlier where I told you to save the rectangle with the door inside of it? Now I'm going to paste it back on, and I'm going to get ready for the next one. I'm going to get a regular one, and then I also realized that I could have just cut it out of one and it would have been the exact same result, so you don't have to make a second one just for the door. That was a mistake on my part, but just cut out one with the door and the peephole and you'll be totally good. Now I'm going to copy and paste it 2 more times, and I'm going to drag one off to the side. I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to create another rectangle, and then I'm going to be using my transform tool to make the width 5.5 inches, and then the height will be 2.5. This part will become the dark brown wainscoting. I'm going to select both of my rectangles, and I'm going to object at the top, and I'm going to hit object align, and I'm going to align it to the top. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go object align, but this time I'm going to align it in the center. Then I'm going to go object modify and subtract. So now we only have the bottom portion. Now I'm going to bring in the second one, and I'm going to use my rectangle tool to make another rectangle. This next part is going to become the beige wall. So I'm going to make the width 5.5, same as the other one, and then I'm going to make the height 2 for the second rectangle. I'm going to do the same thing and drag it over, but this time I'm going to align it to the bottom. I'm going to select both of them, hit object, align bottom, and then object, align center. And finally, object, modify, subtract. And then we're left with just the top portion. I've got my 2 pieces of purple paper on my Pix Scan, and remember you only need one. And I'm going to take my rectangle with the door in it, and I'm going to copy it and paste it onto my sheet of purple paper. This one I have cut to be 5.5 by 4.25, so it's already the right size. I just need to line it up properly. I don't know why I thought to cut out the door on a second sheet of paper. I just kind of had a total brain fart right there. So don't make the same mistake, cut it out one time. Now I'm just going to delete the big rectangle, and then we're all ready to cut. Now I'm ready to use my Pix Scan again, and I've got my dark brown paper and my light brown paper. I'm going to copy over the top half of the door part and then the bottom half of the door part. Just to recap, the top part will be going on the beige to make the beige wall. Now make sure to be extra careful when you line it up because we're not going to be erasing the outline here. We're going to be using it. Then just repeat with the bottom portion on the dark brown. Now I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to score it so the door can actually open. I'm going to be scoring mine using a ruler, and I'm going to put mine at the 4 marking line. So at 4 inches, I'm going to score it from the top of the door to the bottom of the door. Make sure you don't just go from the top to the bottom, because then you'd have a very awkward bump on your card. Then I'm just going to open it and use a bone folder to make sure that it's very well pressed. So now it opens and closes. There are certain parts we're not taping on yet, but for now we're going to start with the purple panel, the beige panel at the top, and then I'm going to do the dark brown panel. Don't worry if there are gaps, we're only human, it's not going to be perfect because we'll be adding more stuff on there after. I'm going to adhere the green door and the purple piece with the door cut out. By now, you can kind of see how this is going to work at the end. Don't worry about the gaps, they will be covered up later. I'm going to use my bone folder again, and I'm going to make sure that this card itself is pressed flat. For this next part, I've taken a frame that I've downloaded on the Silhouette, and I'm just going to take the basic outer tracing because it's going to be so small. Now I'm going to make a door frame. So I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to transform it to the width and height of my door. If you're doing it exactly as I am, my width is 2.5 and my height is 3. Then I'm going to make another rectangle, and this one is going to be the door frame. So it's going to be 1/2 inch more than the door's measurement. So 3 for the width and 3.5 for the height. I'm going to select both, and then I'm going to align it to the center and align it to the middle. Next, I'm going to be making a doorknob. So I'm going to take my elliptical tool, hold shift, and I'm going to make a circle. You can choose any size that you want. It doesn't really matter the size of the doorknob. Just choose one that will fit on your door, and then you're good. My papers are all set up, so I'm going to paste my frame onto my yellow, but I'm going to first transform it by locking the width and height thing, and then I'm going to change my width to 1 because I measured it out around my people size, and that's the best size fit that I came up with. Then I'm going to select my door frame pieces and I'm going to paste it onto my brown. It's already at the right measurement, so I don't have to change that. Then I'm going to grab this circle, and I want my doorknob to be stacked up enough that you can actually grab it and swing the door open. So I'm going to be making 5 of those. 4 for the first one on the front, and then when you open it, there still has to be one on the outside, so a 1 for in there because you don't need to grab that one. After that's done, I'm going to cut out another door frame out of purple and 2 doorknobs out of gold. There is a gap in between my top piece and my bottom piece, so I'm going to grab 2 little thin strips that are the same color as my wainscoting, and I'm just going to glue them on, and then I'm going to take some scissors and I'm just going to cut off the extra. It's very simple. It effectively covers up the gap, and it makes it look more like real life, because in real life sometimes there is trim on wainscoting and walls and stuff like that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take 4 of my doorknobs and I'm going to glue them all together in a stack. I will say, before you glue on the top piece, make sure that 4 is enough to stack up to be able to open your door. So I just glued mine on first, and then I tested it by opening the door. Depending on your type of paper, you may need more than 4, you may need less. All I'm going to do here is take some matte glue so this doesn't make a mess, and I'm going to glue on one of the gold covers to the very top of our doorknob so it looks all nice and shiny. Next, use more of that matte glue and glue on the brown door frame. Now that all the pieces are ready, I'm going to tape on my door as well as the little peephole frame and my purple door frame. Lastly, add your characters and your sentiment strip. To learn how to make a sentiment strip, check out the description below. I'll have a link to one of my earlier videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial on how to make an interactive door card in which you can put anything that you want. As always, don't forget to leave a like down below and subscribe for more tutorials. Stay crafty till next time!